There are some of you who listen to my content who should not be listening to my content. I said it. I know, girl. I know. I've been like, please subscribe. Please listen to my video. Please share these videos out. But some of you who are listening to my content you should not be listening to my content. If you got married young and you're struggling in your marriage because you both have not become financially established and you're trying to make ends meet and you're contemplating leaving your marriage because he hasn't become what you wanted him to become or what you thought he was going to become, or he has not become his potential, you should not listen to my content. My content, I said yesterday, was about 95% single women who are dating for marriage, and about 4% for the brothers, and maybe about 1% for married people. I do not do a lot of marriage content. I might do 1 or 2 videos a year for married people, maybe a 1 or 2 shorts for married people, because most marriages are struggling. And my content is not for struggling marriages. My content is for single women and men who are dating for marriage, who can build the foundation. If you're already married, and you're struggling, don't listen to my content, because it will make you want to go get a divorce. And I don't want you to go talk to the judge because Sister Janice told me, it's based on what Sister Janice said, I need to go get a divorce. Unless he is committing adultery on you and beating and abusing you and the kids. No, ma'am, you stick in that marriage and you work it out. God does not give you an out because you're struggling financially, because y'all going to struggle financially more separate apart. So some of you who are listening to my content, you probably should not, if it's going to make you go get a divorce. Good morning. I miss you guys. I've done a video in a couple of days. My gosh, it's raining here in New Jersey. How are you? I'm going to be combining 2 videos today, okay? So we're going to be talking about don't listen to me, don't listen to Janice Hylton. And then I'm listening to Scott Galloway this morning. He has a book that is similar to one of my books that I wrote that I need to publish, but I was listening to his content and he was talking about how men must assume the financial provider for their families. So, good morning, my darlings. I absolutely love you and adore you. I am on the hunt for new cousins. I have uncousined all my old cousins, all 41,000 of them, because there's a new show called When We Gonna Meet Up. Can we meet up? They never ever met, something. I did a lot of shorts yesterday, so look out for them today. And the cousins didn't tell me about them. So I have uncousined all my cousins, and now I'm looking for new cousins. So if you're here, this is your first time, please subscribe. I absolutely love you to do it. Thank you for those of you who have picked up my books and show me love and support. My #1 bestseller, she, he, whoever, whatever it is, needs reviews on Amazon. So thank you for your love and your support. Again, let me just play this video for you. How the #1 reason why people get divorced in this country is money problems. Okay? So you must make sure the money issue is taken care of. I'm going to speed this up because I don't want no copyright problems. And again, you probably should not be listening to me if you are struggling in your marriage financially. Okay? Let's see if we're at the spot.
Some people are such geniuses that they can work a modest amount of time, make a lot of money, work out, have a great relationship with their parents, be fit, donate time at the ASPCA, and have a food blog. Assume you are not that person. So just have a sober conversation, and also have a sober conversation with your partner.
Okay, so this is where it begins. Have a conversation with your partner. I think he has a partner. He's divorced. So he has a partner now, right? My content is you need to have these discussions before you get married. So if you didn't have those discussions before you get married, and I've said this before, ladies, wives, if you married a man who only makes $25,000 a year, how many of you know that he cannot provide for the household? You can't live on his income alone. I see so many women in the marriage group. I get a lot of emails and DMs. Oh, I want to be a stay-at-home wife. So you're working, he's working together. Y'all making 50,000. So you want to quit your job and be a stay-at-home wife? How y'all gonna survive? How many of you know that's a before marriage decision and conversation? So now getting in the middle of it and you want to change, and now you want to put all the financial burden on your husband who's only making $25,000 a year. Honey, that is not wisdom. Get up, wash your ass, get dressed, and go to work. Because unfortunately, you are in a position where you must help to provide for your family. And the answer is not go get a divorce. The answer is get up and go to work and put your heads together and try to work it out. So I'm going to be talking through this so I don't get a copyright strike. Again, this is Scott Galloway. He has a new book called The Algebra of Wealth or something. I have a similar book by that name, and it's on the channel something. I'll give the channel credit in a minute. Okay, so let's listen to what he has to say.
How much money do we expect to have? Who's responsible for making it? What's your approach to spending? Where are we going to live? You know, the number one source of divorce is not infidelity or lack of shared values. It's usually got something to do with money. And also 70% of divorce filings are filed by women who still, and we don't like to say this because we like to pretend women have no agency and that they're just doughy little foes.
Okay, so you hear most divorces because of money. Have that money conversation before you get married. See, before I got married to my husband, I knew I had the option to either go to work or stay home. And I chose to go to work because I got married at 35. I was halfway through my career. And now we're getting ready to retire. I'll be retiring in the next 7 years because I continue to work. And so because I continue to work, that has parachute us further in our financial goals and establishment. So all of my income goes to our savings, our investments, son's college fund, and investing in our future. And my husband is able to provide for the family on his income alone. But I just want to remind you, that was a before marriage decision, right? I chose a husband who was able to provide for us independent of me. I also chose a husband who was marketable. If you're dating a man and you go marry a man that can't keep a job, can't get a job, is not marketable, you're going to have a problem. If anything happened to my husband's job, this is one of the questions I asked him when I was dating. What's going to happen? He said he'll most likely get a package. He'll call his headhunter. He'll come home, get a few suits, and be on the first thing smoking to DC, because in DC he can get the jobs that he can make the money he can make. He's marketable. He can put on a suit, walk in any establishment in marketing or a couple other fields, and he will walk out with a job. But guess what? That was a before marriage decision. This is a before I married him. That is the man I chose, right? I didn't choose a man who can't keep a job, can't get a job. I didn't marry him and try to turn him into being marketable. I didn't choose a potential provider. No, he was able to provide. But if you did, ma'am, you do not get to walk away from your marriage. You put your head together with your husband. Y'all sit down. Y'all go to marriage counseling. I know y'all don't want me to say go to marriage counseling. I know you don't want to hear that. But if you're doing it God's way and you want to be obedient to scriptures, you do not get to walk away from your marriage. I mean, you can walk away. But don't you want to please the Lord in all that you do? You do not get to walk away from your marriage because you're struggling financially. You put your head together with your husband and y'all try to work it out and come up with a plan.
Is the man loses a business, becomes broke, or has a mental breakdown. When a man loses his status as a provider, he's very inclined to be on the wrong end of divorce. So I think a lot about young men. I think a lot about financial security. I think
Okay, so when the man loses his status as a provider, being a provider is innate for men. I don't care what these dusty spookies, rays, drizzle men tell you. It is innate. You know how it's innate for women to want to get married and have babies? It's innate for men to provide. Unfortunately, a lot of them just cannot provide. So they come up with all these things to make you think they don't want to provide, or they don't want to, they want to go 50-50. No. It pleases men to provide. When we're all sitting at this table, my husband sitting here, and we all sitting and we eating and talking and enjoying the food, it gives him pleasure. So for my single women who are dating for marriage, make sure he is established. Do not marry a man who is establishing himself, who's trying to figure it out. That's what your 20s are for. Your 20s are for you to try to figure this thing out. This is why I don't believe in boyfriends, girlfriends, being in college. You just gonna date this one person and then we gonna get married at 21 and 22. Don't do it. Live your life, go to school, go to graduate school, travel the world, figure your life out. If y'all meant to get back to be together, y'all will come back together. But marrying him, putting your 25 cents with his 25 cents to try to make $1, don't do it. Because a lot of the young ladies that are emailing me now are young women who got married. Either they went to college or he didn't, got married fresh out of college. The economy is bad and now y'all are struggling. Don't do it. Make sure he is established.
every man should start with the notion that he's going to be responsible for the economic well-being of his household. And by the way, sometimes that means getting out of the way and being more supportive of your partner who happens to be better at that money thing than you.
So being better at the money thing is not providing, but being better at money is managing the money. Okay. So both my husband and I, we manage, but I think I do more. Our bills are auto pay, but I make sure our investments are good, our Roth IRA are good, his 401k is good, my 457 is good, our pension is good. I make sure things are, my husband don't even know how much we have in savings unless I tell him. Because he's just left that part up to me because he knows I am very good with money. That is one of the reasons why he married me. He says, one of the reasons I married you because I paid attention to how you were with money. But just keep him informed. Okay?
And that's a wonderful thing. But start from a position of, this is my responsibility. And make sure you're aligned with your partner around this stuff. Because the thing we don't talk about is that your kids are going to have higher blood pressure if you're economically.
And can I say, isn't he a good-looking white man? Ain't he good-looking? You know, I love me a good-looking, bald. Got him a little goatee, right? Going on, gray goatee going on in the black shirt. He all right. He all right. You know, I don't do whiteys, but you know, he's a decent, good-looking guy. So listen to what he says about children's blood pressure, okay? Isn't this, I never heard this before.
It's usually got something to do with money. And also 70% of divorce filings are filed by women who still, and we don't like to say this because we like to pretend women have no agency and that they're just doughy little foes, is the man loses a business, becomes broke, or has a mental breakdown. When a man loses his status as a provider, he's very inclined to be on the wrong end of divorce. So I think a lot about young men. I think a lot about financial security. I think every man should start with the notion that he's going to be responsible for the economic well-being of his household. And by the way, sometimes that means getting out of the way and being more supportive of your partner who happens to be better at that money thing than you. And that's a wonderful thing. But start from a position of, this is my responsibility. And make sure you're aligned with your partner around this stuff. Because the thing we don't talk about is that your kids are going to have higher blood pressure if you're economically strained. Kids in low-income households have greater systolic resting blood pressure than kids in middle and upper income homes. You're much more likely to get divorced. You're much more likely to have a stroke. You're much more likely to be the victim or the perpetrator of domestic violence when you don't have money.
Isn't that crazy? Kids who are in low-income household, their blood pressure is not as good as kids in financially comfortable household. I never knew that. But it makes sense because you're stressing financially. Oh, we can't do that because we ain't got no money. Versus everything my kids ask for, I can say yes. We told little Michael that we're not going to go away for a little weekend getaway after he get out of school. And he was like, what? But I always go away. Mommy, after school, after I get out of school, we always go away to the hotel for a getaway. I'm not going to do that this year. Why not? Even Lexi, she's like, Mommy, I got to go away for my birthday. My kids understand that we go away. We get away. We go away for a weekend vacation. We get out of the rat race. And so we're telling, he's like, what? What you mean we're not going? But always. He don't understand. And the plan is this year we wasn't going to go away because at the end of the year, we're going to go on this big vacation. So we said, oh, we'll just wait for the end. And he's like, well, no, but I'll be going back to school at the end of the year. I'm going to go back to school and I didn't go on vacation. So I talked to my husband and my husband said, okay, we'll go away for a little weekend getaway. Okay. You know, when you're in a financially stressed house, even the rats are scared. And again, kids should not have to worry about what we're going to eat, how these bills are going to pay. And no, I am not saying spoiling your kids, but kids see things that they want, you know. They want it. Lexi's now older. She's not in the age where she wants stuff that she sees, except, you know, when she goes out with her program. I just made her envelope for $100 for her day program. So when she go out and she sees something that she wants, she can buy it. When she come home, Mommy, I don't have any more money on my day program. You know, she goes to the mall, she sees a jacket, $80, and they was like, but Lexi, that's going to be all of your money. She's like, it's okay, my mom will give me more money. Lexi, you sure you want to spend all your money on getting a jacket? Yeah, my mom will give me more money. She come home, Mommy, I don't have any more money at day program. I'm like, okay, Lex, go to the bank, get Lexi some money. You want to make sure your kids, their home is peaceful and comfortable. And when you are financially stressed, they can pick that up. But it makes sense, right? It makes sense. Let's listen to what he says again.
financial security, I think every man should start with the notion that he's going to be responsible for the economic well-being of his household. And by the way, sometimes that means getting out of the way and being more supportive of your partner who happens to be better at that money thing than you. And that's a wonderful thing. But start from a position of, this is my responsibility. And make sure you're aligned with your partner around this stuff. Because the thing we don't talk about is that your kids are going to have higher blood pressure if you're economically strained.
Jesus.
Kids in low-income households have greater systolic resting blood pressure than kids in middle and upper income homes. You're much more likely to get divorced. You're much more likely to have a stroke. You're much more likely to be the victim or the perpetrator of domestic violence when you don't have money. America becomes more like itself every day. And that is, it's a loving, generous place for people with money. It's a rapacious, violent place for people who don't have money. So all this bullshit that money doesn't buy you happiness, oh my God, is that a myth? I'm not saying you need to be incredibly wealthy.
Yeah, I never understood that. And only poor people say that. No, rich people say it too. I never understood money doesn't buy you happiness. It sure do. It does buy some happiness. We're going on a vacation at the end of the year. Oh, I'm very happy. My son is in a class with a teacher and 10 kids. Oh, I'm very happy about that. Versus 35 kids. The kids he went to preschool with that went to public school, it's 35 kindergartners. How do you control 35 kindergartners? He had 8 kids in his class at a private Christian school. I'm very happy about that. I am very happy that I can text the teacher and she can, if I text, it's 7:50. If I text Michael's teacher right now, she will text me back. I'm very happy that when I come home, lights on, food's in the fridge. If I'm cold, could you turn up the heat? Okay. So money does buy you some happiness. So I'm glad somebody who has money, he's a multimillionaire. He sold a business for $160 million, one of his first business. I'm happy that somebody with money does say that. It doesn't buy you all happiness, but it does buy you some happiness, and it buys you good health care. Now, everybody gets sick. Cancer don't have no cancer come for the poor, the rich, and so on and so forth. But I'm always puzzled if money doesn't buy you happiness. It buys me some happiness. I'm very happy. And I'm very comfortable. So I'm glad a multimillionaire is saying that's a myth. It does buy you some happiness.
But middle-income people are happier than poor people, and wealthy people are happier than middle-income people. That's the bad news. The good news is that it tops out. You get diminishing returns. And you have to be cognizant of, when you do get to some level of economic security, that's the means. The ends is such that you can have an exhale, release the anxiety that you feel, and then use the opportunity to really spend a lot of time with your loved ones and cement those relationships. And the problem is, you get on this hedonic treadmill and you become so absorbed in your own success and your professional identity.
Okay, we're going to stop right there. So, balance. When I listen to, I love him. Balance is the key when it comes to your life. I shared how my husband took a pay cut a few years back so that he can be here with little Michael, because little Michael's getting older. He was playing piano. He wanted to do basketball. So we would do basketball on Sunday nights, and he would do something in the week. And then on Saturday, we would have piano classes. And my husband says, you know what? Little Michael's getting older. I need to be home more often, because my husband was traveling a lot when we got married and when little Michael was younger. But as little Michael got older and he wanted to do more things, my husband says, I need to be home. And I admire him for that. But of course, we could afford financial a cutback. But he's home. He drops me off every day for work most mornings. He picks me up most days from work. We pick up little Michael together most days. But now we're able to do this because when we first got married, well, first, we both had stuff when we We're single, but when we got married, he worked very, 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 very hard so that as little Michael started getting older, he's home more. And during COVID, my husband worked from home for 3 years. I loved it. He just went back to the office last year. I think it's last year. But balance is the key. And for my single ladies who are dating for marriage, please listen to me and choose wisely. That's why I go so hard on women choosing wisely. And no, you're not only choosing him because he has a great income. Balance is the key. The husband profile, it's a 3 to 4 months program on establishing your husband profile. So it's not just about make sure he's financially stable. There's a lot into going to creating your husband profile. And I always say his income was my number 4. So if he didn't have number 1, number 2, number 3, we wouldn't have gotten to number 4. So you must make sure, ladies, that the husband, as Scott said, is able to assume the role of provider. Now you're going to tell him that he is, but that's something he needs to know. And so if you're struggling in your marriage because of money, divorce is not the answer. And listen, married ladies, I have one young lady, I told her I was going to share 4 babies and he can't provide, and y'all moving in with your mama and you still making babies? No, ma'am. Snip, snip. He can't afford them. Young people get married. Please stop talking about we going to have 55 kids. Ask yourself, how many can we afford? If you can only afford 1, you have 1. Granted, I always think you should have 2, at least 2. If you can only afford 2, you only have 2. I don't know. I see these people having 7, 8, 9 kids with 6 kids in 1 bedroom. I don't know how y'all do it. This one couple, they just keep popping babies out. And then the thing is, I'm like, girl, if this man ever get up and leave you, you're going to be stuck with 8 kids. You're making videos every day, pimping your kids out, because that's how y'all provide for yourselves. Listen, wives, if all he can afford is 2 babies, you only have 2. How you living with your mama and y'all still making babies? I don't understand. You living with your mama because he can't pay the mortgage, but y'all still making babies. Make sense to me. If he can't put a roof over your head, food on your tables, you don't have any more babies for him. Yes, I'm talking to wives. If you have to move in with your mama or somebody else because your husband cannot provide, why are you still having kids? You shouldn't have any more children because you can't afford them. I have to go. Let me know what you think about this. If you're struggling financially in your marriage, you probably should not listen to my content because my content is 95% for single women. If you're struggling financially in your marriage, you got 2 brains. Put them together. Get on YouTube. Find some financial people. Find some people who is teaching on marriage, and y'all have to stick it through. I don't teach on marriage because I think most marriages are struggling, and I just don't do struggle. I can't. I don't listen. I can't. And I can't teach you how to stay with him and struggle, but I do know If you want to do it God's way, you must make an effort to work it out. And yes, I always recommend marriage counseling. You do not get up and get a divorce without sitting with a counselor and working it through. With the exception of he's committing adultery on you and he's abusing you. But even in that, you still need counseling to help you through it. I don't believe a wife should stay with a husband who's committing adultery and beating her. Go to the divorce, go on down to the judge and file for divorce. But if there's anything else outside of adultery and abuse of any kind, you work it out. You go and you sit with a marriage counselor and you work it out. Even if it's going to end to divorce, at least you did everything in your power to keep your marriage together. I believe that wholeheartedly. But if he's beating you, he's committing adultery, girl, where can I cash app you? I love you. Talk to you later. Remember to show me love and support on my books, My Single Ladies, 23 Types of Guys You Might Meet. It's available. Pick it up, 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 pick it up. Love you. Talk to you later. Bye.